Hey everybody, this is Russ and Rose with Metalholic Magazine and Metal Nation Radio. Joining us tonight, Stacey Savage of Savage Master. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. I'm glad to get a chance to talk with you. I'm digging the new album with Whips and Chains, and I want to talk about that, of course, but there's so much other stuff to talk about first because so few people know about you outside of your home area, Kentucky, and I want to change all that.
All right.
Let's start it's sort of at the beginning. I mean, most bands considered part of the occult metal scene, as it were, hate being called a cult. You guys seem to revel in it.
Yeah, we embrace it. We're, a heavy metal band. We don't want to be put into like a subgenre, but I think that occult really describes our image and our lyrics really well.
Well, and maybe that ties into what I was going to ask you next. Tell us a little bit about Mario Bava, the film Black Sunday, and how that plays into Savage Master, the imagery and such.
Adam and I had this idea to where I could kind of represent like Barbara Steele's character, Aja, from the movie, and that the guys could kind of be like the hooded executioners. So that's where we basically got our look from. Of course, we kind of, made it a little bit more like a metal look, but that's definitely the inspiration. A lot of people ask about the masks and don't see that that's where it's from. So we like to make sure everybody knows that's where we're coming from.
Well, it's funny. I haven't seen the film. Now I want to go back and watch it.
Yeah, it's a great film. It's a really, really cool horror movie. It's shot real well.
So, and then I understand you guys, the record label that signed you, Skull, found your first concert that you did online literally hours after the show ended, and they reached out immediately.
Yeah, we were really shocked. We're really lucky. Bart Gabriel, who runs Skull Records, he's one of the very nicest guys in the whole scene. He found us online. It was like 5 hours after our very first show, and he's contacting us about signing with Skull, and we're really honored to be with them. We weren't really expecting to get signed with anybody for our first record.
Right, sort of do an independent release the first time out.
Yeah.
Nice. And for those who might recognize the name Bart Gabriel, that's Marta Gabriel's husband of Crystal Viper, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And she also made part of some of your early costumes, right?
Yeah, she did. She has a company called Thunderball Clothing, and she made a Mask of the Devil version of my outfit. The corset she made with lots of rivets and chains and spikes on it. So, I mean, that was a really awesome thing. She sent it to us as a gift, and it was really cool, and it was really awesome coming from her. It's something that it's held strong, so her work is really quality.
Absolutely, and of course, she's a phenomenal musician and guitar player there too. So, but
I know she does it all.
She does. She's like a one-woman wrecking crew. But so, before we talk about the new record, for everybody else out there, just to get to know you a little bit more, you're sort of a generation younger than the music you play. How'd you develop your passion for the old school sort of Nawabum sound?
Well, it all started whenever I was a kid. I grew up listening to my dad. My dad would listen to classic rock radio. He'd always sing along, and he had it going all the time. And I really liked bands like Black Sabbath and Led Zeppelin and stuff like that I heard in heart. Classic rock bands. And then when I got older, I got into some heavy metal music, and it's what I was hearing at first was a lot of more extreme metal, but eventually I got to Nawabum. And I felt like this is it. This is, it's more extreme than like the classic rock I grew up with. It takes it to that next level, but it's still very musical and catchy and fun to sing along with. And I just felt like that was just like the perfect kind of music for what I really wanted. I felt like it was something I was looking for without exactly knowing what I was looking for, and then I found it.
Right. And then Savage Master, this is your first band, right?
Yes.
So what was that like for you getting up there on stage that first time? I mean, not knowing what to prepare for vocally, not knowing what to expect from the crowd?
Well, I had a good time. It was actually the first show we played. It was there's a lot of lights, so it was actually really hard to see the crowd, but I could see that they were there. And, I was really pumped that a lot of people showed up. So, it was good to see that they were there. Probably better that I couldn't see specifics and focus too much on that. But I just knew I had to go out there and be confident, and this is what I want to do. So I really wanted to do a good job.
I just talked to Doro Pesch the other day, so I know she's a big inspiration of yours. Who else do you sort of look to for inspiration and influence?
I love Kate from Acid, Anne Boleyn from Hellion. As far as female vocalists, I mean, I've got a lot of inspirations. A really big inspiration for me is Rob Halford of Judas Priest, and then Dio. So, that's really exciting that you talked to Doro. That's really cool.
Yeah, she's wonderful, wonderful human being. So, all right. So, and then a couple of years ago, the first album, Mask of the Devil, came out. Got a really good response overall for a new band nobody'd really heard of before. You had to be pretty pumped about how well it went over. Yeah, we were really excited. We were pretty surprised, really, but very happy. And I've had this song stuck in my head all day. Thank you very much. You guys did the Black Hooves EP with a cover of Riot's Swords and Tequila on it.
Oh, yeah. That was awesome. Little single we did. We just wanted to put out, one of the songs from our upcoming album a little bit early to give everybody a taste of what was in store. And we thought it'd be cool to throw in the Swords and Tequila because we covered it for a Skull Records tribute to Riot. So, we thought it'd be cool to kind of include it on one of our own releases as well.
So, Mask of the Devil, I haven't really heard a whole lot of it yet to really compare it, but I love With Whips and Chains. In your mind, is the new album sort of a continuation of Mask of the Devil, or is it more of a progression, do you think?
I think it's a progression. It's, it's definitely keeping to the style, but I think we got more comfortable in our style and with each other as a band, and I think we've kind of just pushed it a bit further than what we did on Mask of the Devil.
You guys recorded this thing analog, no digital editing, which gives it that raw sound. What made you guys decide to do that? And it's more expensive recording analog. That's hard on a young band.
Yeah, it is. We're lucky that we're friends with the guy that runs the studio, and he helps us out, but both of our albums we did the same way. We just, wanted to, again, stay true to, like, the classic heavy metal sounds and not let it get, because that's what we love. We didn't want to go for a digital modern sound. We wanted to go back to a more traditional sound.
Well, as a fan of the genre, I appreciate that you guys did it that way. And there are so many great songs on this album. It's interesting. My favorite track on the album, and I think it's one of yours too, I think I read in an interview somewhere, is Ready to Sin, which is like the last track on the album. It's like,
yeah.
How did that come to fruition, that your favorite track is at the very end?
Well, that's one of my favorites. I honestly, it sometimes it changes what my favorites are on this album. Every time we were writing a new song, I was like, oh, this is my new favorite song. And that was one of the last ones we wrote. So maybe it's the freshest one for me. But, we just kind of put the songs together on the album in an order that kind of sonically makes sense.
Right.
We wanted to keep it kind of flowing.
Yeah, you want to have the continuity, so the order of the songs always plays a huge role in that. Although some bands take it more seriously than others.
Yeah.
And it was refreshing in that. The reason I brought it up is so many bands front load their albums with the songs they think are the best, and instead of working on that continuity so that it flows properly. So
yeah,
bravo to you guys for that. So
well, thank you.
And this is the first album with Zach on drums. How did his presence make an impact on the new record?
Oh, it helped a lot. He's a really talented drummer. He knows what he's doing. He's really into the style we're doing, and he always has a lot of ideas, a lot of cool fills. He's got a cool set. He's got everything going on, even the rototoms. So it's kind of a fun addition to the band.
Nice. And now the songwriting process in the band, that's sort of you and Adam primarily. Larry comes up with his own solos and stuff, right? Is that sort of how it works? And then you just sort of bang it out as a group, add nuances and everything?
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, for you, I mean, obviously you love a lot of the occult stuff. What did you sort of look to, what was your goal on this album lyrically that you were focused on?
Well, Adam and I both wrote the lyrics together, but we always have a like a horror movie kind of influence, and also kind of like personal beliefs, like, you know, believe in yourself, and like a lot of personal attitudes, like, you know, you like Ready to Sin. It's, you know, kind of about, doesn't matter if people are talking down about what you're doing, you should just go out and do it anyway, you know, and just kind of being true to yourself and things like that.
Absolutely. Empowerment, which you sort of do as a woman too. You know, I get a lot of that message, and it's an interesting balance too, because so many women in metal these days, they make a big point of trying to hide the fact that they're women or their sexuality or whatnot, but
You seem to embrace the totality of who you are as a woman and as an artist.
Yeah, I mean, well, for me, honestly, it's complicated.
isn't it always?
Oh yeah. But, you know, there's, you know, I get people that don't really understand. Like, for me, if you look back at really all of the bands that we're influenced by, like the 80s metal bands, the guys are wearing their big bulges on stage and thrusting and licking and everything else. So I feel like sexuality is a big part of heavy metal in general, and it's not just because I'm a female I want to incorporate that, but it's also, you know, just because I'm a female, I don't feel like I should have to hide it either, because, you know, it's difficult. There's people out there that they'll say, oh, well, you're a woman and you embrace your sexuality, so you're trying to use sex to sell records. And I don't think that's at all what we're going for. It's about the music, but we want to have a, you know, exciting, you know, show, and we're not afraid to just, you know, go all out.
There is that contradiction. I mean, I grew up with a lot of the 80s hair metal and all those new album bands where, well, all the long hair and the tight pants and the bulges and the hairy chests and the, you know, and all that stuff. And it was like perfectly okay for the women to appreciate that. And it's like people forget rock and roll, heavy metal especially, it is part sex. It is part imagery. And that all goes hand in hand. And it's difficult to have that conversation when you're talking about women in metal, because suddenly that's this taboo subject, you know. So I think it's refreshing when you get somebody who's not trying to say that and say, oh no, we've got to stay away from that. So
yeah. I mean, it's you know, it's like a fine line, I guess. If people, you know, and some people are not going to understand where we're coming from, and, you know, we just see that as their loss. And I think some people will get it. And I think, you know, I want to support people that I like, and I don't want to put down anybody. So, you know, you know, I don't mind going out there and looking crazy and having people criticize me for it, because I want to stand up for that so that other people can feel fine doing whatever they want.
Absolutely. We're supposed to be a genre that's inclusive. So I think that's fantastic. I was going to ask you, on the album, was there a song on this record that was particularly hard for you to write, either as the songwriter or the lyricist or whatnot, the message you wanted to bring across, or just once you got in the studio, you had a hard time getting all the pieces to fall in place like you wanted them to?
Well, the hardest one, I would say, is Path of the Necromancer. We had some kind of different ideas about the tempo. We actually changed it from what the original tempo was going to be, one set tempo. Now it's like the tempo changes right as the vocals come in, which seems like it would feel more unnatural than it does, but it actually feels right that way. And then for me, I am very rhythmically challenged. I'm kind of envious, because everyone in my band is a drummer except for me, and I want to learn how to drum at least a little. But sometimes I play I've been practicing playing the tambourine for Path of the Necromancer so I can do it live. But I'm having a really hard time to keep singing and also do the tambourine, even though it's the easiest instrument on earth.
And the new album with Whips and Chains comes out on Friday the 13th, May 13th. That was perfect. Did you guys plan that?
We just got lucky with that. Mask of the Devil came out on Halloween, and this one is coming out on Friday the 13th, so we just got to figure out what to do next.
Oh, So before we get out of here, what's obviously you guys want to get out beyond Kentucky and do some touring and whatnot. Is there a tour that you're looking at, or is that just you'll sort of have to see how things play out? Or
Yeah, well, we've got quite a bit actually coming up. April 22nd, we're going to be doing this Spring Bash in Milwaukee. And then after that, we're going to Germany to do Keep It True Festival.
Nice.
It'll be our first time as a band going into Europe. Myself, Larry, our guitarist, and Brandon, our bassist, it'll be all of our first time ever going to Europe. So that'll be really fun. We're going to go to Holland and Austria, Switzerland, and we'll play a few more dates in Germany. Then we're going to head back and do a U.S. tour. We're going to be playing a stretch of dates with Holy Grail. I don't have the dates right in front of me, but I believe that's May through June.
Excellent.
We'll be with them on the road over on the West Coast. So, and then after that, we plan on just staying on the road for at least another month or so.
Nice. For the music that you play especially, you're going to find the fans in Europe much more appreciative than even here in the U.S. because they still truly embrace that classic new album sound over there more so than anywhere else.
Yeah, we can't wait. We definitely know that the fans over there are really excited, and we've gotten a lot of support over there, so we just can't wait to, really meet everybody and have a good time over there.
All right, so before we get out of here, just for fun, obviously Rob Halford and Ronnie James Dio, big influences of yours. If you guys were ever to cover a Priest or a Dio song, what would they be?
Ooh, that's a good one. Well, let's see. Maybe a good idea would be Stargazer by Rainbow, because we got the idea for Whips and Chains from that song. So maybe that would be a good one to do.
And then the Mighty Priest?
Priest, well, actually when I first sent Adam a sample of me singing, I was singing Starbreaker by Judas Priest. I'd be happy to do really any song by them, just about any of the 70s material or Tears of the Faith, anything really. I'd be happy. Just love it all.
Starbreaker and Stargazer. All right.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Awesome. Stacey Savage, Savage Mastered, the new album with Whips and Chains coming out on Friday the 13th, May 13th. We're looking forward to hearing the entire record, seeing you guys out on tour. It's fantastic.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Bye.